Hey, how's it going everyone? This is Anthony from Anthony's Customs, and for this review we are looking at the one and only Toxin figure that doesn't look like an inebriated pack animal. This thing looks great. It's just a great figure all around. There are a few shortcomings here and there, but by and large, 100% recommend it. The problem I have with this figure is that the person I bought it from broke the tongue off after I bought it, and I haven't replaced it yet. I may just kind of sand that down and repaint it because I'm not a huge fan of the giant tongue anyway, but still, it's a little sad. It's disappointing every time I pull this guy out and realize he's broken. But that said, there's not too much else to complain about, and of course that's not really a flaw for the figure. I will point out the issues as we go, but let's take a look at the figure. He stands about 6.5 inches tall, 100% new sculpt, back in the days when we got that on a regular basis, so I do appreciate it. He's got all of this kind of tendrily sculpting going on in the torso, it's going on the legs. The arms, however, we only really see that on the hands, and the rest is just paintwork. So that's one of the things I was going to mention as being a downfall. This paintwork here, it is just that. There's no sculpting to match those red lines, and then we just kind of have a black cutoff. It looks really odd the way it was executed, so I don't care for that too much. But that's really the only major problem I have with this guy. The proportioning is quite reminiscent of Toxin, so I don't mind that his hands are humongous and his legs are a little small. I think it's just fine. As far as articulation goes for the head, up and down, it is there, but it's kind of limited. Not horrible, but it is limited to a degree. Side to side, no problem. Ball hinge shoulders, it's a little tough to pose them sometimes, but if you kind of just pull out on it and force it, you shouldn't have too much trouble. We do have a bicep swivel, a single jointed elbow, but you get about 90 degrees, so that's not too bad. There's no wrist swivel, so that's one of the other things I wanted to mention. He really needs a wrist swivel with these gigantic hands to get him into some good poses. We do have a wrist hinge, which is really effective, and a finger hinge, which isn't the most useful, but I suppose it's a little more useful on this guy than maybe on some other figures. Same on both sides, even though the sculpt is a little bit different. It's really the exact same thing. It looks like, you know what? On this side, that's odd. I never noticed that. On this side, most of the tendrils on the forearms are actually sculpted to go with the paint, whereas on this side, none of the tendrils are sculpted. There's a little bit of sculpting in here, but that's mostly just like vein work. So that's odd. I never noticed that it's on this side, not on that side. Huh. Somebody rushed something in production. Never noticed that. Well, now you know. Ab crunch works okay. We have basically just the two positions, up and down. It does snap into place nicely, but it doesn't have the greatest range of motion, obviously. We have a waist swivel, T-jointed hips, pretty good range of motion. It's not the best, but it's certainly more than effective. Thigh swivel, double jointed knees, ankle pivot, a little bit of an ankle rocker, not the most, but it is there. And then a toe pivot. And again, we have sculpted toes kind of, even though they're mostly covered in symbiote. It's just a really nice looking figure. Again, the paintwork, if somebody wanted to repaint one of these, it would make the figure look way better, but it's not bad by any means, it's just not great. I think the face is sculpted pretty well. He doesn't look like a donkey like the current version. The eyes are nicely done. Teeth are nicely done, a little bit of a gloss effect on the mouth. So I do like this guy a lot, and I think you will too if you are willing to spend the money on getting one. It's pretty impressive compared to the new Toxin, even though he doesn't have quite the same stature. I think the originality in the figure itself more than makes up for it, so I do recommend it. Thanks for watching, guys. Stay tuned for more figure reviews, custom figures, and other good stuff. And in the meantime, keep collecting.